Welcome, welcome everyone to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. I am very happy that all of you have joined me today for a little chunk of your afternoon, knowing that there are libertarians running around this country trying to make impact all over. I'm very happy they are, and I'm very lucky today. Today I have with me somebody who is trying to make that impact in his local state, the great state of Minnesota. Hope I got that right. It is the man himself running for Congress, Travis Bull Johnson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Yourself?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your, I'm sure, busy afternoon.
Well, thank you for having me.
Those of you who want more information, head over to bulljohnsonforcongress.us and you can see what he's doing in his area. And of course, like, comment, and share so others can watch and hear what we're saying. I got to ask you the question that I ask every libertarian running, which is, why Congress and why now?
Well, why Congress is, believe it or not, right now in this particular situation, in this environment where I am in western Minnesota, Congress is probably the easiest one to win.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Didn't think you did. And there's a reason for a couple reasons. When I retired from the Army in 2008, I had some run-ins with the local zoning commission, went in, talked to the county commissioners, said, okay, you know what, I'm tired, this is BS. Y'all are telling me I can't build a barn 150 feet from a road in an agricultural district. So I went in there and I said, hey, why? Give me a good reason why. They couldn't.
Of course
said,
not.
Well, if you have problems, you can do this, you can do that. And my mind hit, you know what else I can do? I can come in here and replace one of you jokers and change it that way.
That's true. Yep.
So I decided to run for county commissioner.
Nice.
Well, the problem is, I was a new guy to the area. My wife is originally from here. I was not, and I was running against a incumbent local who's been in the area his whole life. He was 60 or 70 years old, been here his whole life.
He was established.
Exactly, but one thing I learned at that point is it's real hard to compete in a small pond against a big fish.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that's what the bigger the office you go, the less impact not originally being from there has.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so that was, because my state.
That's very good insight.
My state representative or my state senator here, same thing. They're established. They've been here forever. They're pillars of the community. Running against them wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to get any traction.
No, I see what you're saying. You look at New York State, and our senator was Hillary Clinton. Wasn't even from here.
Yep.
She was Illinois, and then Arkansas, then DC. She shows up in New York. She's our senator. So yeah, I get it.
So and then I just look at the political landscape here after this last election. This is a district. Western Minnesota is our district. Right. 65% of this district voted for President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Republican who just won her first term in office, it was his endorsed candidate, his preferred candidate. She only took 53%.
That's wow. What's she doing wrong, or what's happening? Something's up.
She was establishment.
Got it.
And the area is very highly anti-establishment. But
there we go.
It was between her and a Democrat. And Colin Pearson, the Democrat we had here, was here for 15 terms. He was chairman of the Ag Service Committee, but he started to lose his contact with people here.
No, I love what you're saying, because if you remember 2016, there were people who originally wanted Bernie. And then when Bernie lost to Hillary in 2016, a bunch of those people went to Trump. Mm-hmm. And you would think, why would someone who supports Bernie's ideas support Trump's ideas? But it's what you're saying. It isn't the ideas. It's the idea that they're the rebel. They're anti-establishment.
It's anti-establishment.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, once she won, she hasn't done anything else to solidify her spot. And I'll give you an example. When some of the local Republican leadership would call her and say, how did you vote on the situation with Cheney? Her office, no lie, told them, that was a private vote. We don't have to tell you how she voted.
Wow.
This is what they told the grassroots.
Wow. None of your business how I vote. That's what they basically said.
That's basically what they did. They're telling this to people who are already anti-establishment in nature.
But let me walk down a different road if I could. Hold on. I want to walk down a different road if I can. because you've mentioned that you're in Western Minnesota. This is obviously an agricultural area, a farming area.
Yep.
A piece that everyone watching is going to be concerned about, something that you bring up that people don't often bring up, and that is the idea of food vulnerability. Mm-hmm. You care about farmers, farming's your thing, and you pick up food vulnerability, and my ears perk up because I live in New York City. There's no food here. If you guys don't make the food, we don't eat. Yeah. So I hear that, my ears perk up. Please help me with why that's an issue.
Well, and I'll give you a perfect example happened this week. JBS. Mm-hmm. JBS is one of the largest meat packing plants in the country. Yep. They're not U.S. owned. They're I believe it's Brazilian owned.
Yeah, they're Brazilian owned.
And they were hacked, and they had to shut down for a while. Well, the problem is the way the laws have been written. As far like me, I'm a small farmer. I've got cows, I've got pigs, I've got goats. I cannot sell my meat directly to an individual.
You can't.
No, I cannot unless I go through a USDA butcher shop, which is few and far between.
Wow.
Most of what we use is custom butchers. Somebody wants to buy something from me, they have to buy a live animal, either half a pig or a quarter cow. When I sell it, it has to be live, and then I bring the live animal to the butcher, and then they can get it from the butcher.
So hold on. So if I want to buy a half or a quarter of a cow from you, mm-hmm. you then go, okay, Larry, great. I have to go to the butcher now and get my quarter.
Well, or a lot of times we'll arrange to get it and drop it off, but you're not buying it directly from me.
Got it. So
then what do you do directly from me? You're buying the animal.
What do you do with the 3/4 of the cow left? What do you do with that?
I can't sell it to you until I sell the other 3/4. I've got to have the whole animal spoken for before I bring it in.
Wow.
And part of this is because there's been so much push on getting everything USDA inspected. Here's my and Representative Massey tried to fix just this during the COVID issue. He introduced what they called the Prime Bill. The Prime Bill would have allowed me to bring my animal to a custom butcher, and you could have bought cuts from me rather than a whole animal. Because again, remember, when you're buying a whole animal, that's a lot of money. You've just eliminated anybody who doesn't have a nice little bit of money in the bank from getting this. Now, when I called Colin Peterson, the previous congressional member from here, his aide, give you an idea, had no clue what was going on. When I tried to explain to him, he assumed when I sell my animal, it's the same way as when somebody sells an animal to JBS.
Wow.
They didn't see there was like, they thought the butcher was buying it from me and then they were selling it.
This system is so skewed towards the big player and against the small farmer. Oh my God, it's clearly skewed in that way.
Well, and the thing is, and it's for no reason, because they keep on saying it's for health reasons. It's for health reasons.
It's always for our safety.
Truth of the matter is, when it goes through that meat processor, that inspector has 2 to 3 seconds to look at it.
Say it again.
When that meat goes through that inspector looks at the meat at a processing place. They may have 10 or 12 stations. That inspector only looked at that for a few seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, and then.
How did they figure out if it's good or not?
Well, if it's not obvious, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Now,
okay.
Now my butcher is going to look at my beef or my pork for hours.
Sure.
When it leaves his shop, it's got my name on it and it's got his name on it. He's not letting anything out that door that does not look right or there's an issue.
Gotcha.
And they've been doing it for a while. So I fail to believe safety is really the issue.
Yeah. I get it. Well, it's funny. We have a quick comment. This is Mitch. Mitch says, yeah, a few friends and I go in together for beef. Mm-hmm. Got to buy live and send to the local butcher. So Mitch is on your side on this one.
Yep. I mean, that, and unfortunately that's the way it is. But, and when you have COVID and these places shut down.
Yeah.
What happens? What happens to our food security? When you have somebody who ransomwares it, where they have to shut down. I mean, and here's where a lot of my complaint is I went back during COVID and they shut these places down for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
You know what did not happen during those couple of weeks that they were shut down? Exports of meat or pork. There was no real shortage. They were still exporting as they normally would have. Those numbers didn't change. Now, what did change was the amount me and you were paying at the grocery stores.
Got it. Right, right. Wow.
So
No, you've just brought up another point that I bring up constantly, right? The idea that if you have more localization, if you have more communities who know how to support themselves and support others, when the big boys go down, whether it's through COVID or through ransomware or whatever, or through a problem that they have or whatever, other people can now support them, and we can now catch up and fix them.
Well, and the catch is if they keep on letting these big businesses get bigger, it squeezes out these small butcher shops. It squeezes out these options so that later we may not even have that as an option. They're so overregulated, it's not even funny. Friend of mine who opened up his butcher shop a couple years ago, and he did it to USDA specifications. And this is not a huge butcher shop.
Mm-hmm.
It was 300 grand.
Wow.
Okay, and this is a guy who's only doing 10, 15 animals a week.
Wow.
300 grand is what it costs, so he could get it up to the standards and the regulations they require.
It's gonna take him years just to make that money back.
Exactly.
Just to make that money back.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then Colin Peterson, their solving that problem was, we'll just make it easier for them to get USDA inspected. Well, here's the problem. These guys are so booked up now because of the COVID shutdown. They are already pre-booked 8-10 months down the road. They don't want to go to USDA. They have to pay the inspector as USDA, not the government.
Right.
When a USDA inspector goes in there, now they become a employee more or less of the butcher shop, but answerable to USDA.
Wow. So you're paying for someone else to boss them around. I like that.
You're getting you're getting nothing from it. Okay.
Right, right.
But that was their solution on how to solve this problem. And butcher shops were like, no, we're not interested in that.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Well, Lanique says, same corruption and large expenses I've seen in the alcohol industry. She says, I feel you there. Yeah. So I think it's happening in more than one industry. Obviously, you're feeling it from the farmland, obviously. Right.
If you didn't know, Lanique is the Eskimo libertarian.
Oh, there we go. See, there we go. Absolutely. Adam says, I'm actually a barbecue judge in my spare time. My mates who are in smoking teams buy wholesale meats in Australia. With the same problem, Larry. Man, you always know how to grab my attention by morning coffee. There we go. Yes, he's in Australia saying it's the same problem, right? He says a local guy who wanted a business because overregulation cried when we told him we were buying our meat from Costco because he went out of business. Wow. Yeah. Yep. The big companies win every single time.
Well, and that's the issue. And that's one of my huge issues is when you start saying too big to fail, what that's actually doing is it is eliminating small businesses, which is really America's middle class.
100% true. Yes, we are crashing. I mean, so
when you
let me walk down another road if I could.
Yes, sir.
That's great. I love where you're going there. You obviously get it. You feel it. But this is a bigger piece you talk about. You talk about every law should have a sunset, right? Yep. Sunset laws. The idea that the law ends unless you renew it, right? You've got to always renew the law if it's still valid. If it's not, it just goes away.
Yep.
This is not talked about by many people. Why did you bring this up?
There's so many laws that we need to, for lack of a better term, when you make goals, you have to then go measure your goals. Did you did accomplish what you wanted to, and just fire from there?
Yep.
That's the same thing we need for our laws. Okay, if we're going to do if they're going to create a law to I'll go for a hot topic to limit mass shootings.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that law in for 10 years and you haven't done it. Guess what? That law needs to go away because apparently it didn't do its job.
There we go. Okay? I like that.
And that's my whole mindset of if you keep on doing the same shit over and over again, expecting different results.
We keep doing that. Yes, we do.
Okay. I mean, we got, and this is the common argument I have with people when we talk about trying to end the drug war.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We've had drugs they've been illegal. We've done this. We did 3 strikes. We just made it more and more and more strict. And guess what? Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
we got to go a different route.
Well, yeah, we actually have more drugs.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
something's changed.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we have more people dying from overdoses. We have. I mean, it's.
So let me ask: Is there Is there a year that you prefer? Do you like a 4 year, 6 year, 10 year? Do you not care? Do you have a view on that?
Not yet. I mean,
Okay.
that's one of those things. I think it really has to do on a case by case basis, depending on what
Okay.
it's for. I mean, because some things you're going to see a little bit sooner, some things you're going to see results a little bit later.
So you're
And
going
honestly,
back to the goal idea, right? So if you think you can measure it in 5 years, maybe it's a 5 year sunset. If you can
right.
measure it in
Well,
10, it's a 10 year.
and the other thing we have to do about it is we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic on what Congress will actually get around to.
Mm.
Because if we say, you know what, this goes away in 5 years, and you know what, 5 years from now, Congress never gets around to it. Okay, I mean, that could be issues. And look, there's only certain things that the Constitution has assigned to Congress, one of which is a budget, and they haven't done one of those in how many years? Okay, they can't do what they're legally obligated to do.
Right, right. Well, Nalik's on your side. She says, I like that. I might promote that solution more. I want to see results and put the pressure on the lawmakers to show the results they promised. Well, yeah, there we go. I love that.
Which is one reason we don't do it. Nobody wants to be accountable.
Yes, yes, and yes. Absolutely true. Well, guys, let me ask you, if you're liking what the bull is saying, if you're enjoying that, then head on over to bulljohnsonforcongress.us. See what he's doing. If you live in Minnesota, you should help him out, right? Click that contribute button. It's up upper right-hand corner. Click that button and give what you can give. If you can throw him $10, $20, $100, whatever you can throw him. He can take up to 2,800. So I know Adam was ready to give him like 3,000, but you can't, Adam. You can't do it. So don't. Actually, Adam's in Australia.
Technically, you can go up to 5,600 because I can take 2,800 for the primary, 2,800 for the general.
Oh, there we go. Okay, but Adam lives in Australia, so don't get him in trouble. You can't do it, Adam. The rest of you guys, you can if you want to. Don't go over 2,800 until the primary thing. 5,600 is fine, but just do that much. But look, if you've got 10, $20, you can use it. You can use it for signs. You can use it for door hangers. You can use it for ads on Facebook, all those things. But if you don't have the cash, if you're in a spot where you don't, no worries. He needs volunteers too. Click the volunteer button, get those volunteers, help him out online, or if you live in that area, show up. He could use the help tremendously.
I mean, and to give you an idea on that, Larry, my district is 32,000 square miles.
Wow.
38 counties.
Wow.
Every one of these counties has a county fair that I should be at.
Wow.
Just the table rental at the county fairs will end up costing me $6,000 a year.
Wow.
That's not including going to them or anything else. I mean,
that's massive.
Yeah, and they'll probably grow.
We like live in the opposite place.
Yeah.
In my county in Queens, there's like 4 congressional districts.
Really?
Just in my one county. So yes, there's like multiple congressional districts in my one county. It's crazy.
It lends its own issues.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. So let me move to another piece. Taxes. Mm-hmm. All the time I hear libertarians about, let's end taxes and taxes. But you have a different kind of idea about that. You want to replace the income tax with more of something like a consumption tax or a sales tax. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, the first thing to keep in mind, and this is something that I get pushback from libertarians all the time, who are all pressing taxation as theft, which I understand. The problem is, until we get spending under control, we can't really afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't afford to stop it. Eventually, what I'd like to work towards is more of a consumption tax, because it's a lot simpler to implement. You don't have this big IRS who are responsible for only checking some people and who avoid the super rich, because it's a lot easier to audit the little guy.
Yes, it is. Cheaper.
I mean, it's one of those things that we got to come up with a system that's more appropriate. And I've had the advantage of when I was in the military, I've lived in a bunch of different countries, a bunch of different European countries who do use a VAT tax, a value added tax, which is similar. And it works well. Now, the rates they pay is a lot more than I would ever want to pay. And again, a lot of that is because they're more of they provide a lot more social services. But as a whole, I mean, I'd like to get things simplified. I mean, I don't like to use the term everybody pays their fair share, but it makes it more legitimate across the board.
Well, but the idea is sometimes you've got to use some phrases that get people on board, right?
Yep.
And I know it sometimes drives more of our hardcore libertarians crazy when we do some of those things, but we're trying to get some votes here, get some people to go, oh, fair? Oh, I like that. What's that fair about? And then you can explain it and they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get that.
Now,
So,
truth
yes.
of the matter is, if I'm elected, I'm still only one of 435.
Sure.
Okay. This
Yes.
is the direction I'd like to go. Can I promise you this is what we'll do? No.
But that's where we're going.
But this is where I'd like to be able to direct the conversation.
Lauren asked a question. I don't know if you know this. I actually don't know this. She says, I learned a lot from this video. How close or far from Upton Sinclair's The Jungle is modern USDA setup? I actually don't know the answer to that question. Do you know?
I do not know.
Lauren, you have stumped us both. Now we have to go do homework. So, yes. But look, she's paying attention. So you got someone paying attention. So it's working, Bo. It's working. I love it. Lauren, I will check this out and I will at one point respond in this video to that question, but I don't know. I'll type something in when I have a chance. Thank you for the question, though. I appreciate it. So, yeah. Nalik says Alaska has 1 rep for the state. So I guess Alaska's got you beat. There we go. That's something.
My question, Nalik, is why isn't he you?
Oh, nicely done. Nicely done. Absolutely. Nicely done. That's good. I think it should be. So let me move to the next piece, which again, we're being a little controversial on this one when it comes to hardcore libertarians, but you want to stay in the UN so that we can protect our Security Council seat and retain the veto power. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. I mean, we see now, I mean, when first of all, it's real hard to get the 5 security members to agree on anything. But when
Also
they
true.
do, if they agree to sanction a country, like i.e. Iran, well, guess what? I mean, you can't do any trade with there. Now, keep in mind, we step on a lot of toes.
Right.
And you have Russia and you have China on that Security Council. I mean, is it possible that if we get out of the UN, we say we're done, they can eventually get everybody on the same sheet of music and say, okay, we need to put the United States under control. We're going to sanction them. You can't do business with them anymore. That's a lot of risk. Okay.
So I see. So you're using the UN in a different way that most people think. You're using the UN almost as a protection of our economics, not about foreign policy.
Correct. I mean, well, that's one way I'm looking at it anyway, because I mean, I look at any way it can be used. We've used it against other countries in that way, could other countries use it against us in that way if we're not there to use our veto power? Do we want to have to count on France and United Kingdom to save us? Right. And if so, what leverage can they get out of us in order for them to save us? Okay.
Oh, that's true. Then we got to bargain with them.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, to me, it's a risk reward issue. How much money are we actually spending, and how much protection are we actually getting for the money we're spending?
There we go.
And that's, I mean, I know it's not the most popular view, but
it makes sense. You're not using it as in, let's use it to affect our foreign policy and to invade. You're using it as a defensive measure so that we can still trade,
which is in line with the NAP.
Sure. No, I like what you're saying. By the way, Craig stepped up when it came to the jungle. Craig says the jungle is a work of fiction that is 100% factual. So I guess, Lauren, Craig has answered the question for you. There we go. So the belligerent Ulsterman says, you can't dismantle the state all in one go without causing suffering. This is kind of what you're saying, right? Yep. You're saying this, right? Increment by increment is how it should be done. I think he's agreeing with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a pragmatic one. If we try to do everything all at once, we're going to scare people away and we'll never get into office. Truth of the matter is, I mean, we have to move the needle.
Right.
We have to consistently move the needle, and you know what? Eventually, we'll get where we want to go. But to come in and say this is what we're going to do by tomorrow, I mean, nobody's going to back us. They're going to think they're going to look at us first and say, "You're not realistic. Why would I put you in office?"
Right.
You have great dreams.
Right. All right. So look, if you're out there saying to yourself, "This guy makes sense," then you know what? Head over to his website, check him out. head over to bulljohnson4congress.us. See what he's talking about. His issues are all there. It's right there. What you see is what you get. His issues are right there. He tells you exactly how he feels. He's also got a Facebook page. That's here. If you want to check that out, that's in the description. You can check out his Twitter account. Check those out. See what he's got going on. Absolutely do that. And if you want to support him, go to his website, click that contribute button. It's in the upper right-hand corner, and throw him a couple bucks if you can. If you can throw him 25, 50 bucks, if you've got it, that's awesome. It's going to help him to move the needle as he's talking about. He's got all those fairs he's got to go. He's got to have those hand palm cards he's got to give out to people. He's got to go do that. It's going to take time. And that's gas money, literally. That's gas money crossing that massive state. So if you can throw him some bucks, do that. It will help tremendously. And if you can't, no worries. He does need volunteers. He needs you to like and comment and share his stuff. He needs you to give him the meme wars are real. You got to go out there and meme that stuff for him. He needs that. And if you live in the area, he could use some help at a couple of those fairs. Wouldn't be a bad idea if you show up with him, hand out some of those cards, shake some hands, kiss some babies with him. It's not a bad idea. bulljohnson4congress.us. Please contribute or volunteer, whatever you can do.
I mean, even if it's just getting the word out. I mean, when I talk to different organizations and they look at or people, or they look at financially backing me, the first question they have is, what is the validity of your run? Can you get through there?
Yep.
Are you a serious candidate?
100%.
And unfortunately, one of the things they look at is they look at your social media. They look at your followers.
Yes.
They look at, hey, what is your fundraising like?
Yep. All those things. I agree.
I'm talking to national organizations who are looking at backing my campaign, and that's one of the things that they are actually looking at. I mean,
100%.
Is what is your fundraising like? What is your
absolutely?
I mean, your social
100%.
media presence.
Yeah. So David says, plus you have to work with Democrats and Republicans as an elected. There's no switch to flip. So some people are on your side, man. I think you got a whole bunch more. So yes, absolutely. So yeah, the other piece Brian brings up an open question. Do you have any comments about federalism and the allocation of power between the federal government and the states? I didn't see that as a huge part of your, like, you didn't say that specifically. So it's not like one big piece, but I feel like you sprinkle that around almost all of your policies. Did I read that right?
You read it absolutely correctly. I mean, at the end of the day, my goal is to limit federal government, shrink the federal government. I'm a strong believer in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. I mean, and the way in the 10th Amendment, the way it reads, you know what? If it's not enumerated in here for the federal government, that's a responsibility that belongs to the states.
Got it.
And again, to me, if we want to take the power away from the federal government, we have to decentralize it. We have to take it and give it somewhere else. Because again, it can't just disappear overnight. It would, well, granted, some people would like the anarchy it would create, but for a lot of people would be a little uncomfortable with that. Right.
So let me go to the last piece. You and I are both veterans, so we share a love and a real connection to the pain that many of them are feeling, our brothers and sisters that we see and deal with. You want to fix the VA in a different way than most. You basically want to end the wars, which is a great thing. And some people onto that, but you're about that. Ending the wars, kind of breaking that military-industrial complex to include a lot of the foreign aid that we give that's included in the military-industrial complex. Yep. And you want to take that money, and I'm not sure, help me out, somehow repair or fix the VA in a privatized way? Help me with that.
The first thing I'm concentrating on is veteran mental health. We lose 22 vets a day, and we have every day since 1999. Okay, think about that for a second. 1990, since last century, we've been losing 22 a day, and we haven't changed anything. We are past the point for making minor tweaks, hoping to get results. One of the proposals I would like to make is for every service member on active duty, we're just like everybody else. I mean, we pay so much to Medicare, we pay so much for Social Security, and I would like to take those Medicare dollars, pull them out of the Medicare system, and put them through into similar to what they call TRICARE for life for mental health for everybody who serves. That would kick in the day they are discharged. That they would have mental health coverage from that day on.
Got it.
I mean, and we would use, and how would we pay for it? We would pay for it by by reallocating those Medicare dollars from when you're on active duty into that pot to pay for that. And of course, the way TRICARE works is basically they're an administrator for the government insurance company,
Right.
insurance complex. Okay, they're not an insurance company per se. They're just kind of the middleman.
They're a third-party administrator.
Right. So veterans would still have the option of going to private care rather than the VA.
Got it. So it
eventually,
allows them to use either of them as long as they go through the third-party administrator. They could go to some place local if they wanted to.
Exactly. Now, eventually, what I would like to see, by all means, I would like to see the VA shrank down to almost nothing. And when you go to discharge, they would look at your medical records. They would document all your medical issues, and they would use that same TRICARE for Life program to get you covered at that point, never having to have that section with the VA.
And if we would end the wars, we'd have a whole lot less veterans with problems.
Best thing you could do for a combat vet is stop making them.
There we go. Yes, absolutely.
That's
100%.
I mean,
I like the idea that you're focusing on mental health, because I think a lot of people talk about that, but then when the VA comes, they always think about vets who are physically wounded.
Well,
they hardly ever think about the mental when it comes to the VA.
And this is one of my pet peeves, sir. You go to anybody running for Congress in the United States, every freaking one of their web pages are going to have veterans care. Without exception. We're going to increase, we're going to fix things, we're going to help veterans, they're going to take care of veterans. What have any of them actually freaking done? What new idea has any of them ever brought to the table? It's lip service. You know what? This makes people feel good. I'm going to put this on there, but nobody actually comes with an idea.
Right.
Will my idea work? I don't know, but I'm going to bring something to the table.
I love it. At least we'll be talking about it. I love it.
Exactly. I mean,
I'm actually with you. So speaking of that, you just talked about was the idea of impact. This is tough. I mean, you're running as a libertarian. It's difficult in general. It's just hard. How do you make impact in this race? What do we got to do to make impact? I mean, everyone's thinking, wow, I like this guy, but man, how do we make something happen?
Here's the beauty. This is the perfect storm. I am in a district where President Trump took 65% of the vote. The Republican who just won as a first termer took and was his endorsed candidate only took 53%.
Right. That
means you'll have almost 20% of Trump supporters who was not happy with her as their representative.
Sure.
Okay, that's a big number.
So let me move down that road. Let's assume that you look, obviously, I want you to win. There's no doubt I want you to win.
Right.
If you don't, if you can get that big chunk, 20, 30%, I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I feel like you are going to move the needle by default. The fear that you will put in the hearts of the two parties. They're like, whoa, he got 20, 30%. Okay, let's start listening to what he's saying, because we don't want him running again. We got to do something that he wants.
Well, exactly. I mean, if you get, and you know what, we're going to get that, because again, with President Trump taking 65%, the Democrats are not going to put a lot of money and a lot of effort into their candidate.
Sure.
You have a unpopular Republican in there now who is for part of the definition, she's a swamp monster. She's everything that President Trump was not, and what people here loved. They are very, when I talk to them and we start talking about policies and stuff like that, they didn't love Trump's policies as much as they loved he was anti-establishment.
Yes,
he was the outsider. That's what I'm running at. I'm running as the common man, the outsider. I am being invited to these events that they would normally invite the Republican candidate to.
Wow, that's great.
Okay, that's huge.
Yes,
I mean, there are a couple liberty parties that are, and they're more constitutional conservative parties than anything else, and who's pretty much come up to me and said, "Hey, we will support any constitutional conservative candidate that'll run against Fishbach, against her, because she's not about small government."
I feel like there's impact here. I love it. You've got a way to make impact. You got a way to get a win, even if you don't win, but you might actually win this thing. It's even better. You got a plan. You understand what people are talking about. I love this idea. So, I mean, look, guys, if you want to help him out, then do me a favor. Head on over to BillJohnsonForCongress.us and see what he's doing. If you can support, hit that contribute button and support. If you can't give any money, then you know what? You can still volunteer, and you can still, no matter what, you can like, comment, and share. You can like, comment, share this or all the stuff he puts out. Make sure people know, get the word out. It matters. We can make impact in this race. I guess the question I want to bring up here is, before we wrap this up, is there something else that I've missed that we should be talking about? I feel like we covered a lot. Is there something else?
Well, the thing is with me, and this is a conversation I've been having on my Facebook page, is with me, you see what you see is what you get.
Mm.
I mean, I've had some hard conversations with people this past week. We started talking about stuff like voter IDs.
Mm.
And you know what? It's a concept that I believe we have lost the confidence of half the country in the electorate system.
Yes.
That has
a valid point.
Now, At the same time, I'll tell people I do not think that President Trump lost the election due to fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Not very popular opinion in this district, but it is what I believe.
Sure.
And that's what I'm telling people is, hey, what you get from me is you get a straight shooter.
Yep.
When's the last time you've seen that from a politician?
Not very common.
I've had a lot of opportunities this week where I could tell people what they wanted to hear just to get their vote. People say they want something different. Can they handle something different?
I hope so.
That is the magic question again. Part of what and I did a post on this a while back. Again, being in Western Minnesota, I mean, we get nasty cold weather in the winter.
Sure.
We had some negative 35 degree below with the wind chill, before the wind chill. There was one particular night where we had some goats kidding, and we lost a goat that I don't think we should have lost. I look on my cameras in the barn, and I saw a baby piglet, two-day-old piglet, fall into the water trough. Now my farm property is 10 miles from here. I'm jumping in my car in a blizzard to get over there, pull that baby out of that water trough in the barn, and spend the next 3 to 4 hours trying to warm it up to keep it alive, and we did.
Nice.
And I really feel like if today's politicians had to do more shit like that,
yes,
it would show them a little bit more empathy on everybody else, because that's what they're missing.
Absolutely.
They are. So many of them really are the elite. I mean, I hate to use the word, but I mean, at the end of the day,
it's okay. I see them in Manhattan every day. It's fine. You're right.
At the end of the day, if more of them had to do stuff like that, more of them had to deal with those type of situations. I mean, I don't always vote for when I vote.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always vote on policies.
Sure, that's very
most
common.
of the time I do. But a lot of times I'll vote on the quality of the person who's running.
Sure.
Okay, you know what? I may not always agree with them,
mm-hmm.
but if I think they're going to do the right thing for the right reasons, sometimes I can live with them.
There we go.
I mean,
I love that. I think a lot of people think the same way. Politics is not just logical. It's logical and it's emotional. It's always both. Some people more than the other, depending upon the person and what's going on in their life. But it's always both.
And that's the kind of people on the support I am actually getting from more of the left leaning area, because again, they know their candidate's probably not going to win. I mean, President Trump took too much of a chunk.
Yeah.
But what they do know is they've got a seat at my table.
There we go. I love
They know that I'm willing to listen to them. We've got the backing of one of the popular parties here is the Legalize Marijuana Now party in Minnesota. They've been fighting it for years. Last election, the Legalize Marijuana Now party representative, person running for Congress, took 5% of the vote.
Nice.
They're backing me.
There we go. I love that.
I mean, that's when people say, "Why do you think you have a chance?"
That's why.
Again, to me, it's the perfect storm. We've got a coalition willing to work together.
I love it.
People here are just, I mean, they're fed up. I mean, and I listened to one of your podcasts a little earlier with a gentleman from last May. I forget what his name was, but that was the same thing. He was saying everything that I would normally say. People don't feel represented. They don't feel like they have a voice.
Yep.
I had a young lady.
That's great. I love what you're saying. I think we have a good shot at this. And thank you for giving me. a bunch of time this afternoon. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. I will be on later on this evening, probably around 7 p.m. and probably also tomorrow. I'll see what I can do. Guys, if you want to see what he's doing, head over to his website. All his information is actually in the show description. Check it out. Thank you guys all for watching. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for